Another example I found of looking for a deeper hidden meaning was from someone apparently a little more well-known. It's an article on the God TV website based on a teaching by Joseph Prince, who heads up a 30,000-member megachurch in Singapore. The article is called "The Hebrew Language Contains Keys to Your Healing." You may have even heard variations of this concept elsewhere. Here's an excerpt of the article. Ancient languages, like Hebrew and Chinese, were designed to be read right to left. Not only that, but each word part is a pictograph that carries a deeper meaning than the 26 letters in our Latin-inspired alphabet. In the case of the Hebrew word for healing, Rapha, the pictographs from left to right are a head, a mouth, and a sacrifice. According to Prince, the head thinks and the mouth speaks of the sacrifice. In short, people who are mentally or physically sick should meditate on and proclaim Jesus' ultimate sacrifice. So the idea here is that the Hebrew alphabet borrowed letters from a previously existing alphabet, which was made up of pictographs, the letters depicting various things like an ox head or a tent peg, or in this case, a head, a mouth, or supposedly a sacrifice. And the notion that we can find deeper meaning in the Hebrew is based on the premise that those pre-Hebrew depictions are infused with an inherent meaning of their own. And when we replace the Hebrew letters with the corresponding letters from the pictographic alphabet, we can then read those pictographs back as a phrase or sentence and bring that meaning forward into the Hebrew word, giving that word a deeper meaning than what it ordinarily means. Now, this is completely different than using a Hebrew or Greek lexicon to understand the usage of words in their original languages. That's something that we can absolutely do, and it does bolster our understanding of the plain sense of the text, because after all, we are still reading a translation. But this practice of using pictographs as Bible interpretation is basically the epitome of blowing past the plain sense of the text and seeking another sense. Assuming for a moment that this could ever be a valid linguistic practice, which it is not, and that it somehow makes sense that the letters of words in any way impact the word's overall meaning, which they don't, we're supposed to be able to glean God's intended meaning hidden within the words themselves to form a new idea that reveals a spiritual truth. Joseph Prince says that Rapha means the head thinks and the mouth speaks of the sacrifice. Well, based on a nifty chart that I found on the internet, I think it means that the first word you speak must be strong. And I interpret that to mean that if you're sick, your first prayer to God must be to strongly demand your healing. So, are you going to tell me that my pictographic understanding of the letters of the word Rapha and my interpretation of that understanding is wrong, and that Joseph Prince's is right? Based on what? Joseph Prince came up with one thing, I came up with something different. How do we know which one, if either, is correct? We are so far past any kind of plain sense now that almost anything goes. There's now no standard whatsoever for determining the legitimacy, much less the accuracy, of these so-called deeper meanings. Using pre-Hebrew pictographs, then, to try and find deeper meaning in the words of the Bible seeks a sense that exceeds all common sense. It utterly destroys the plain, simple reading of God's Word.